welcome to the next episode of The Breakthrough with the Browns, a podcast all around real life, real stories, and real growth. The topic today is very interesting and important in relationships. How important is it to understand your partner's love language?
Oh, wow. Wow.
Love languages are huge. And if you guys remember, the 5 are acts of service, gifts, words of affirmation, quality time, and physical touch.
Yeah.
Now, I have my top 2, and I know my honey does too, Pastor Craig. Mine are physical touch and words of affirmation. Pastor Craig, I believe yours are the same, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, just in the reverse.
In reverse.
Words of affirmation and physical touch, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I mean, clearly we're compatible, right? I mean, yeah.
But you know, we did not know that in the beginning of our relationship.
Oh, we did.
And I don't even think we asked each other initially. It just kind of came out as we continue to be around each other and understand each other. But I think it's critically important that people know up front so that they can feed into their partner's love language, right?
Yeah.
So I have a question for you. Do you think people naturally know each other's love language?
I would say no. I would say they don't naturally know. I think initially when you're spending time with that person, when you're in that sort of honeymoon phase of the new relationship, you just say, hey, she's fine, he's handsome, whatever the vernacular. And then you start to do naturally what is important to you, right? What you're used to. And the interesting thing about it is, I can tell you this as a man, and you probably say the same thing as a woman, we come into our relationships with history, and we oftentimes bring into that relationship maybe to be honest with you, what somebody else liked, right? And we try to put that on a silver platter and hand somebody else's love language to you almost as a default, particularly, to be honest with you, particularly if that last relationship, she said she left because, you didn't touch me enough or you didn't buy me enough gifts. And so, and oftentimes what happens is, and I know we'll talk about this in a minute, but we try to give you what we want.
Yeah.
Right. So I don't think it's natural.
Yeah, that's typically what happens.
Yeah.
What our love language is typically what we project on our partner when they don't necessarily want that love language.
Yeah.
Like for me, if words of affirmation is one of mine, then I typically give words of affirmation to you because I give what I want to receive.
Yes.
But it's really important that people stop for a minute, ask questions, and communicate with your partner about what makes them feel loved.
It's so interesting. We did a podcast recently. I'm not sure if you watched it, I'm sure. Brother Jeff, good friend of ours. Obviously, it's a couple we spend, a lot of time with. But he said something that was remarkable. He said, I love you. He was talking about
his wife.
His wife, right? He was talking about, I love you, but I don't often say it. And he said, I do, like what he was saying is that I do it. I show love, but he doesn't verbalize it a lot. Now, imagine if you're in that situation where one of your key love languages is words of affirmation, and you say, I'm not out here tipping around and I'm not out here doing those other things, but I'm out here grinding. I'm working for you, and I'm taking out the trash, and I'm taking care of the kids, and I'm making sure the house is secure and everything. And he says that I'm demonstrating I love you, but I didn't grow up in a household where verbalizing I love you was the norm.
Yeah. Yeah.
How do you think that person, I mean,
I know. And I was going to ask this question back to you because I know that words of affirmation is one of your love
for
languages.
sure.
So if you're with a partner that does not know how to give you words of affirmation, would you still remain in that relationship because you're missing that big hole? Or would you stay and try to help the person understand what you need?
Yeah, I mean, well, I mean, fortunately in this situation, I mean, we're so compatible. I mean, we have the exact same two, so we can finish each other's sentences, and um what I need and I know what you need. But in the past, I'll talk about from the past. The past, it was a struggle. I can't even lie. It was a struggle because oftentimes you feel like that person ain't hearing you, or they don't value you because, can I tell you, the interesting thing is words of affirmation, y'all, is free.
It is.
It costs you nothing except to open your mouth and affirm and say something like,
Thank you.
thank you.
I appreciate
I
you.
appreciate you.
You're amazing.
You're dope.
I respect you.
I respect you.
I love you.
I love you. You're sexy. I mean, I know there's a lot of pretty women in here, but I only see you. Right.
And that's what women want. When they're with a man, they want to feel like they're the only person in the room with a room full of women.
Yeah.
That all you see is them.
And it's that affirmation, right?
Yeah.
But the challenge is, let's keep it 100 with y'all. How many of y'all have, I know you ain't going to put this in the chat, but if you're not getting that words of affirmation or physical touch, because let's keep it 100. I knew some women when I was in high school and college or even in adult life that PDA, public displays of affection, weren't their thing. And so, and if you ain't touching her or bumping up against her or rubbing her or particularly affirming her in public, I don't know. You tell me. I mean, because that's one of yours. I mean, and that's one of mine too. Because you don't have to worry about me. I'm all over you. But what if have you ever heard a girlfriend say, "Girl, child, he don't touch me"?
Yeah, I have, and it can be an issue.
Yeah.
Because if your love language is touch and you're not getting it at home, typically human beings being human beings.
Well, but define that at home. You mean in the relationship?
In the relationship.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because you can be home at the mall.
Well, true. In the relationship. They tend to go outside the relationship to get what they're missing, which is why for me, it's so important that people talk and have conversations about what their needs are from a love perspective.
Yeah.
Because if you're not having that conversation or you don't know what your partner needs, it will cause a gap or strain on the relationship.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Now, have you ever been with somebody where, okay, so there's two, right, that are a challenge, two love languages that I've had a challenge with.
I know what
you know about to say. There's two, like, well,
it's really one.
It's really one. But I'll bring out the two, right? Okay. Because if you're a busy person, you and I are busy. When I met you, you were grinding. You were busy. You were working. You were involved in your church. You were involved, with the kids. You were involved in your career and everything. So when you meet somebody that's busy, and the same thing with me, I was traveling, I was working, I was doing all the things. When two very, very busy people come together, if quality time is your love language and you're not busy and the other person is very busy, there's going to be a problem in that soup, right? It ain't going to taste good.
Nope. But here's the thing. People make time for what and who they want. I don't care how busy you are.
Yeah.
You know, one of my friends was like, they were talking to this guy and they text him. He didn't text back all day. And his excuse was, I was busy. It takes 2 seconds to respond to a text message if the person on the other end is someone you want to have, you know, conversations with or want to deal with, if you will.
Yeah.
So for me, you're never too busy for what's important to you. So I don't take that excuse as I'm too busy.
Yeah.
Because you're really not too busy. You just don't have time for that person. Because it takes 2 minutes, 2 seconds to respond to a text message.
And worse, and I know we're a church-based ministry, so I'm gonna keep it 100 with you, because I've heard ladies say this about guys. Okay, you haven't been able to talk to me all day, but you calling me at 11 o'clock because it's booty call hour, and now you got time, but you couldn't prioritize me at any point. Go and type that in the chat. I know you know what I'm talking about. I'm telling you that I can't message you, I can't send you flowers, I can't nothing all day, but it's looking about 11:30, and what you doing, right? That's the text.
Hey,
WYD, huh?
Hey, big head.
Hey, big head.
Exactly.
Exactly. So you prioritize, you make time for what's important. But that other one, you know what I'm about to say, is that gifts. I struggle with that one. I once upon a time in my past went out with someone that gifts was her love language. And then I started to understand why it was her love language. I'm like, man, you thirsty. Man, you a gold digger. I was thinking all these other things about why people would have gifts as a love language. Well, a therapist asked me one time, she asked me the question, she said, where did you get your love languages from? And when I had to think about it, most of the time your love language comes from your experience, either with your parents or relationships or whatever the case. And mine being words of affirmation and physical touch was, my parents didn't have a lot of money at all. So, but my father used to always say, son, you can do anything you put your mind to. And his words moved me to a point where I wanted to make him proud. And then also my mother and father were both very affectionate, you know, so they hugged me a lot. And their hugs were confirmatory to their words. And so that's where my love language came in. But I heard the therapist say one time, she said, what if you dated a person whose parents were so busy that they communicated love via buying them things? And I was like, And I stepped back because I'm trying to force that person to have words of affirmation and quality time and physical touch and blah, blah, blah. And that's not what they wanted, because they were formed. And so sisters or brothers, if, I don't know, do men have that? I don't know. Do men have gifts as a love language?
I'm sure there are some.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
You know, the other thing I would say about that is, to your point, love languages are derived in 2 different ways. Either it's something that you've experienced and seen and you want that same thing in your life, or it's something that was missing from your life. Like maybe your parents didn't tell you they loved you, or they didn't give you affirmation, right? Now, as an adult, that's what you yearn for.
Yeah.
That's what you want to have. To you, that's what love is, when somebody's telling you, you know, I love you. You're wonderful. You know, you're a blessing to me. So it can derive into 2 different ways.
So either what you witnessed or what you lacked, or wow, that's deep. I mean, y'all, Dr. Gary Chapman wrote this amazing book, and I know it's been translated into multiple forms. The 5 languages of sales, the 5 love languages of this and that. It's an amazing book. There's like first and multiple editions. So we definitely got to give a shout out to Dr. Gary Chapman, who wrote this brilliant book. It's amazing. But what else is there? I mean, I think this question that you talked about, you brought this up about compatibility, right? Compatibility. I mean, like about, I don't know. I mean, what do you say if you're with someone and their behavior isn't compatible with your love language? But you really like the person, but there's a deficit that's there. It ain't money, it ain't this, it ain't that. It's we communicate differently. Communicate love differently. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I mean, if you're not compatible with your partner as it relates to love languages, that is fixable.
Is it? Okay.
It's fixable if both parties are willing to make some changes. Now, if your love language is gifts,
Yeah.
and I refuse to buy you gifts to make you feel like you're loved, then that's going to be an issue for you. And you're going to question, do I really want to be with this person who isn't willing to adjust their style to what I need? That's what a relationship is all about. It's give and take. It's, you're having to decide, are they the person I want to be with? And am I willing to change how I love them so they feel safe?
Wow. Yeah. I mean, because the interesting thing, and this is the thing I struggle with, is that when I met this person back in the day, I thought this individual, this ninja, this individual is a gold digger, right? And I'm thinking to myself, wait, I got to buy you Louis Vuitton and I got to buy you red bottoms and all the things in order to make you happy? And the thing that messed me up about that equation was, I said, wait a minute, what if somebody with more money comes on the scene? Are you going to replace me because he can buy you better toys than I can buy you? Right? And that was very destabilizing. So you typically see those. And again, I don't know a lot of men that are, I don't want to be gender specific, so forgive me. I'm a man though. I'm a man and I got male friends. And I'm like, and most of the time I got some boys of mine that are successful where they don't mind being Santa Claus.
Yeah.
Just stay fine, stay in shape, sex me, whatever you want to call it. And I'll light your wrist up. I'll buy you whatever you want.
Yeah.
And I know some women, particularly that I met in Atlanta, were just take care of my bills and keep me happy and at all the events, and I'll take care of all your physical needs, right? The mental and emotional stuff will work out later, but your man needs, I'm gonna take care of it. Just keep me secure.
Right.
And so that is interesting. So that's why when I met you, I'm like, Lord, thank you, Jesus. Somebody that gets me, that is completely compatible with me, and you my ride or die.
So what if I wasn't completely compatible with you? Would you be willing to make the adjustments?
That's the question, right? Because are people willing to adapt, or are they quickly say, you know what, it's a wrap, I'm out. Or do they say, hey, let's move on to the next? And so I think that's the real question, is how adaptable or how patient are those individuals. Now, if you've been burned a few times, particularly, or God forbid, if you came out of, if you were in a relationship with someone and physical touch was your thing and he never touched you, or he only touched you in private, but when y'all at the mall or y'all at church or y'all at the picnic, he's walking 10 feet away from you, almost what I call plausible deniability, right? I'm here, but we ain't really together, right?
Yeah.
Then y'all playing games.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you came out of a relationship like that you were burnt once, it's highly unlikely that you're going to go into another relationship with somebody that ain't all over you.
Yeah, that's true.
You know?
Relationship hurt is real.
It is real. It is real.
And it can bring some of that hurt into a new relationship and
sure.
cause issues. So that's a whole nother.
That's another whole issue. But that's true though. It's true. That's what I was saying before at the very beginning. You can walk about, you asked the great question at the beginning is, do people naturally know that what your love language is up front? And oftentimes, like I said, if somebody broke up with me, I remember this happened when I was in high school. And when this girl said to me one time, she said, "You were too nice." I was too nice? She said I was too nice. And I told you this blew me away. When a woman said because we were in high school, when a girl said I was too nice, when I got to college, I became a nice dog.
Explain that. Nice dog.
Well, how do I say that? I'm nice
to everybody.
And I was an equal opportunity distributor, right? So then what happens is, okay, you burn me once, shame on you. Shame on me if I let it happen to me twice. So then I started developing what I call a fallback. And it was terrible then and y'all gonna get me preaching, but to be in a relationship, you have to unlearn some things because about being a player and moving on quickly, because if you're going to stay in it and make it work, you got to be able to adapt and adjust and not make her responsible for what somebody else did. Listen, I know we got to go, but anyway, but yeah.
I mean, when you're in a relationship and you really want to be in that relationship,
yes,
you have to be intentional about addressing the needs of your partner.
100%.
And if you're not doing that, it probably won't work, right?
Sure that.
So, okay, I know we are running out of time. Do you have any final words of advice on love languages to the community?
Well, y'all, listen, I would tell you, I mean, like as my wife said a moment ago, you don't naturally know it, but I think it's one of the most important initial conversations you can have with someone that you care about, that you want to build a relationship with her. Ask her, you don't mind me asking, how do you receive love? And how do you show or demonstrate love? Because how they receive and how they give oftentimes may not be the same thing, but find it out up front. Yeah,
absolutely. I absolutely agree with you. So thank you guys for watching this episode of Understanding Your Partner's Love Languages. We appreciate you watching The Breakthrough with the Browns. Look out for us next week for another episode coming soon. Remember, we are Victory Station Ministries. We would love to have you come visit our church. Check us out at victorystationministries.org or vsmdfw.org to find out all of our church times and our services in person and virtual. See you guys again next week, and thank you so much for watching.